Hello, I have a very special video today. It happens to be my birthday, and every birthday for the past 26 years, I wrote it down so I didn't mess it up. I did the math. Andres and his mother bring me flowers. Since I was 37 years old, you have to do the math to figure out how old I am now. But I got the idea that I wanted to make a video because Andres is my very first student.
Hello.
And I would not be doing this work if it was not for Andres. So I've written the story out and I shared the story, but I thought, how wonderful would it be if I could actually be here with Andres and we could tell our story to you guys. It came to me today as I was thinking about what I wanted to say is, Andres, I unlocked the genius in this young man as a little boy of 5, and he unlocked the genius in me because I would not be doing this teaching now if it wasn't for him. So God put us together on each other's paths so we could do great things, right?
We did. We did do great things.
Yep. So, I think I would like to start by saying, okay, I was talking to Andres' mom before we started. She says, I've got the cutest little picture of you at the farm, or we went on a field trip, little Tanaka farm, and Andres was dressed up as Woody. He had a little Woody costume on, and I had on some overalls just because overalls were in style now. And overalls have come and gone, and they're back in style now.
They're back in style now.
Yeah, that's how long that's 26 years. Anyway. Okay, so let's tell everybody the story. I'm going to go first, tell my version.
Of course.
And then you tell yours. And we've shared this story many times, so I have permission to say whatever I want, right?
Yes, yes you do.
Okay, thank you. All right. I was working in a public school, and I worked in a special ed class that we were integrated in with typical kindergarten. And it was a very impacted special ed class. We had 14 very, very, very high maintenance children, which was great. I loved it. I loved each and every one of them. They were a lot of work. So one day the special ed teacher came to me and she said there was our 2 kindergarten classes, and then there was another classroom outside in another room. And the teacher said, there's a little boy in such and such teacher's class. I don't remember her name. And she said, he's going to be probably joining us in our special ed class. And I'm like, oh, how exciting. So I would keep an eye on little Andres in the playground. I was watching him because I was excited to get to know him and figure out how are we going to teach this young man. And he was so cute. I've got a little picture of him here. I'll take a snapshot and add this to it. He was so cute and so sweet, and I just fell in love with him right away. So I like to start working with him, and I would bring him in when I was working with the other children on whatever we were working on, and I would be like, okay, Andres, I'd try to get to know him, teach him his alphabet, whatever, and we had a really fun time. And then one day, and his mom is going to send me a picture of this so I can add that picture into it. I gave him a notebook and a pen, and I was over here doing something else, and I said, draw whatever you want. And I think I had the book open, and he, with his pen and paper, drew an exact replica of what was going on in my paper. It was like stairs, and it was red, and I was like, what? How'd you do that? What is that? And I think he was letting me know, it's been so long. I think he was just showing me that what he could do. He liked that picture, so he was drawing it on there. But anyway, at that point, I knew it was like, this little guy's got a lot going on in there, and how exciting. So I saved the paper and I sent it home to his mom with a little note like, oh my gosh, look what Andres did, which is very much the kind of thing I still do every day with my students. It's like they do something, I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Anyway, so now we get to the part where the teacher I worked with a special ed teacher and 2 kindergarten teachers in the class. The kindergarten teacher on our side said, no more kids with special needs. This class has already impacted us enough, no more. And I was like, oh, but Andres is so easy, And she's like, no. So she tells the district, no, we cannot have Andres in our class. So teachers from all different schools start coming to see you. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna miss Andres, you know, and the teacher would come, they'd have their little clipboard, and they'd be like observing him. And of course I'm trying to make you look really good, because, you know, I'm working with you,
right.
and like, you want this guy in your class. And about 4 teachers came. And then I was like, asking the teacher that I work with, I said, where is Andres gonna go? Who's gonna take him? Where's he gonna go? Nobody, everybody's impacted and nobody wants him in their class. And I was like, well, what's gonna happen to him then? She goes, well, he's gonna go to the county program. And I'm like, the county program? What's a county program? You know, that trailer that's way off to the side where everybody goes that nobody knows what to do with? And I'm like, no. So I got to watch, this was before Christmas break, and I got to watch the head of special ed go to your mom and go, this is what's best for your son. Trust me, this is what's best. We know it's going to be so good for your son. And she knew that it wasn't.
Exactly.
I knew that it wasn't. And I was like, wow. And so I went home and I prayed over Christmas break. I prayed because I was like, this was like my first experience with injustice, you know? I've seen it a lot since then, but this was my first experience with injustice. So I prayed and prayed and prayed. And back then I was just talking with Andres' mom. She's here, she's watching right now, but I was talking to her. I'm not the same person I was back then. I was very shy and very quiet. And I would, what am I gonna do? I can't go to the head of special ed and say, this is wrong, you can't do this, because it was already done. It was done. So I prayed on it, and then I came back, and spring break, came back from the break, and I said to the teacher, I said, please, let's keep Andres, because he does not belong in the county program. And I said, if you agree to keep him in the class, I promise he will never, ever, you won't hear a peep out of him. That's my promise to you. But I have a little funny story. I think I will tell that story. We just talked about it before. So she's like, I think she slept on it, and then she said, okay, and you got to stay. And I was so excited that you got to stay. And you know, I remember how you were as a student. You were very quiet, you're very sweet, but you didn't speak, and you didn't quite, like, any naughtiness that you had was because you didn't understand what was going on. It wasn't because you were trying to be naughty. Like if you were sitting in a circle and you decided just to get up and walk away, it just was what it was, you know?
Exactly.
You didn't really understand. But I had a job. I had made a promise to that teacher. And I just told you this story before, but one of my funniest memories was, it was a kindergarten class. We had so many kids in the kindergarten class. You're up front, and I see you wiggling and starting, and this is what the teacher didn't want. She just didn't want the distraction of you.
Right.
And then I come around, and I'm like, and you looked at me, and you're just like this.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I'm still like that as a teacher. So it's like, you know, sometimes you need that, right? We got to keep your place there. So then Andres, then I decided, like, again, seeing the potential in you was like, okay, we're going to have to get on the fast track with you to get you got up with your letters, your numbers, and things like that. So all along I'd been I made a connection with your mom, and I would write her notes, and I'd say, like, Andres doesn't like this, maybe you should give him this for lunch, and he likes dinosaurs, maybe you should buy him a dinosaur shirt. I was like your little guardian angel, right? And then at one point I was like, okay, I need to work with you at home in my house extra. So, can I tell this? So then I'd like tell her mom, and her mom's like, she didn't tell me this till years later. She's like she loves me, her mom loved me, I know she, whatever, but it's like, she's calling her dad on there. Oh, the other thing I was going to tell you, they're from Mexico, and instead of going to the county place, you were ready to pack up your whole family and and leave and before doing that. So you know, that was a big part of the story. But she's like talking to her father. She's like, this lady, she's like, she just wants to have, she's done all this for Andres and she wants to teach him in her home. And I don't know, should I? Or it's like, who does this?
Free.
For free, oh yeah, that was it. Thanks for writing that part. I forgot that, for free. That's a key part of the story, right? So, and for me, it was free because I wanted to help you, but also this was new for me. I was like, I've never done this before, so, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I, we worked, and then when it was time for you to go to first grade, you were kind of caught up to par, and while still in special needs, you were able to go into full inclusion from there, and your school, you just always had angels with you, because I think your whole time in school was always pretty good. You were, you know, you're being watched over.
Yeah, I had a good time in school.
So before I get to the punchline and the ending, I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm used to speaking in front of a camera, and you graciously agreed to be in this. But is there anything that you'd like to say or tell your version of what you remember?
I think Uncle says I'm very grateful that you took your time to teach me, to help me catch up with the rest of my classmates. Because if that didn't happen, imagine where I wouldn't even know where I'd be right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, I wanted to ask you, and I asked you before, and you said it was okay for me to bring this up, because I think it's important for parents and teachers to hear this. Like, what is your memory of what was going on when you were in that kindergarten class, and how did you feel? You know, how did you feel? Were you aware of what was going on, or just in your own words?
I think I was really aware of what was going on. Like, I was very young at the time, so I don't remember a whole lot. But yeah, I guess I wasn't aware of what was happening around me. I guess I was just in my own mind at that time.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I remember the part that I wanted to bring up is I remember your mom telling me that you had told her once that you, even though you weren't speaking, you knew some teachers were being mean to you, or you knew some teachers were not
being mean, but just didn't know how to.
Not really on your side a little
right,
bit. Yeah. Kind of like, and I think that's important, because even if a student isn't following the rules and going along with everybody else, or can't speak, it doesn't mean that
they're not bad students. Like, maybe they just don't learn the same way the rest of the students, and they need to learn their own way.
Right. And if we can communicate with all of our students in some way and find that little the thing that's common in all of us,
right?
Then, because everybody's got something, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Then if we just be understanding of that, then it's good.
It worked out for me.
Yes, it did. It worked out for you. And I learned a lot from you, because you were my first student. And I think I learned patience, and I learned perseverance, and I learned that teaching is fun. I mean, we had a good time, you know?
We did have a great time.
And we worked on letters and colors, and and then this picture right here, this is hanging up in my office. This was an example. I'll take a picture of this too, but you drew this in the classroom, and here he is in kindergarten. This is like a kindergarten picture. There's genius. So tell everybody what happened after graduation for you, after you made it through your high school years.
After I made it through my high school years, that's when I began attending college. Like, it was a little rough at first, because like it was like, this is college, and like had to, like, it was like a new world for me. But then a few days came, like maybe like a few weeks, I started to get the hang of college, and before I knew it, I had a great time, met some interesting people, and I found that like new ways for me to perform art.
Wow.
Yes.
So, and what is your degree in?
My degree is a Bachelor of Fine Arts with an emphasis in illustration.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
And that goes to that very first picture with the red lines, which we'll get a copy of and add to this video as well. So I just ran into you recently at the home goods store, and then you showed me on your phone. We'll have to get a picture of that too to
Right.
add into our video of like the comics you're doing now.
Exactly.
Just so funny and so brilliant and so well done.
Yes, I should have brought those with me.
I think I've got it's on your Instagram.
Yes,
so I
my
can,
Instagram.
Yeah, I can make a snapshot of that, and then we'll edit it into there.
That I'm still trying to get the hang of because I'm not very good with social media or anything.
Yeah, I can help you with that. I'm getting better.
I would really appreciate that.
I have a lot of followers. Thanks to some people who tag me in their posts, and then I get more and more people, so it's fun. But yeah, that would be a great thing for you to do. And then just, you put my advice to you now is you put your dream, your thoughts out there of like what you want to do and see it happening and know it and feel the emotion that goes with that and go, yes, that's what I'm going to do. And then it's all going to happen for you. If it's whatever it is you want to do, you decide what it is you want to do with your art, put that intention out there, put it out in your mind, and it will happen. I promise.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. All right. Wow. Well, I think that's about it. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Not the moment, but I'd really like to thank you for including me in this video.
That was pretty cool. It worked out that way today.
It was. I was nervous at first, but then I started to relax more, and then it felt natural to me.
Good. You did great.
Thank you.
Maybe in the next video we can get your mom down here. What do you think?
I think that'd be a great
I
idea.
think it's a great idea too. I love you.
I love it too.
Okay, now we're back with Rocio, Andres' mom, and it took a little bit of persuading to get her here in front of the camera, maybe a lot. I told her
I'm afraid of cameras, Terry.
That's okay, but I told her she owes me, so you don't have a choice in the matter. We kind of wanted to, Rocio has always been very well spoken. She thinks that her English is not good, but even back 27 years ago, she said that,
Yes.
and her English was good. But anyway, I know what it's like about being camera shy. But I wanted to her to talk about her view. I mean, you can your side of how you remember things and what you'd like to share, and also we were just talking. This is why I wanted to come back on the camera about the teacher that made Andres feel uncomfortable, and Andres doesn't remember that, which is probably nice. But I think it's important. It's an important thing for parents to hear and for teachers to hear. And Rocio works in the school system herself, so.
Yes, Andres actually, of course, he's the reason that I'm working in the school district, because when I found out he has autism, I didn't know anything about special ed. I didn't know anything about autism, so I thought that the best thing for me to do was to go and work in a school to learn how to work with kids with autism, to be able to work with my own son. And that's what I did. But what I was telling you, Terry, when Andres mentioned that, that he had good experiences with teachers, maybe he doesn't remember everything, and I'm glad that he doesn't remember certain things. But maybe as a mother, when something hurts you because your son went through a bad experience, you don't forget. You never forget. And I always remember that, of course, when Andres was not, he started to talk when he was 6 years old, if you remember, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, he said some single words when he was 18 months, 2 years old. But then we moved back to Mexico because my mom was very sick, and he stopped talking. So we thought that maybe it was because of the change and everything, but it wasn't. It was because of the autism. And so he started to talk again, and thank God it was so amazing that he didn't start talking, if you remember, Terry, like little by little single words. No, he started to talk like complete sentences.
Right.
When he was 6 years old.
Right.
And of course, when unfortunately my mom passed away when we were in Mexico, and after my mom passed away, that's when my father told me, you need to go back to the United States because something is wrong with Andres, and you need to take him to a neurologist or something. And that's when we came back, and and like you were saying, Terry, I remember the county program that they wanted to send him. To me, it was the one of the worst experience that I had, because it was a very sad environment, and the kids that I saw in that program when I went to see the program were very different than Andres. And so that's when, I don't know if you remember that you also told me, read your parent rights. When I went to talk to you and I say they want to send him to the county program, and I mean, you were working in the school, so, and we didn't know very much each other. So
Right.
I just remember that you told me, well, if you're not happy with the program, read your parent rights. Read your parent rights. So I went home, and like you mentioned, in my English, it was so limited by that time. But my husband, of course, he's been living in this country since he was 1 year old. So I told him, please translate, interpret this for me, because I need to really understand my parents' rights. Terry told me to read the parent rights. I need to know. And thank God, that I spoke out some things with the principal of the school, and then I went to the district also. And because you were so nice to us, even that you didn't know us too much by that time, and that you talk in favor of Andres too, that you were going to take care of him, and that that Andres was not going to be a problem for the teacher, because you were going to be on top of him. Thank God he was able to be in your classroom.
Right.
But I remember that when Andres started to talk again, the first year, if you remember, Terry, he didn't talk a lot, but he repeated kindergarten, you remember? Because that's when he started to talk, and I said I want him to have the experience of kindergarten, but now being able
Right.
to
I remember
talk.
that now. I remember that.
And that's when the first thing that he told me was about my mom's funeral. He was asking me a lot of questions about my mom's funeral, and that's when I realized, oh my God, me and my family were thinking, he doesn't know what's going on. He's not talking, and he seemed like he was in his own world.
Right.
But when he started to mention all those details about my mom's funeral, I said, oh my God, I was so wrong. He was there. I mean, not because he was not talking. I was in shock. And then he started to tell me things about the teacher he had in the first year of kindergarten, that she was not very nice to him. Maybe he doesn't remember, but like I told you, as a mom, I'm always going to remember.
Yeah.
And I remember so well because I don't know if you remember, Terry, but you even advised me to go and talk to that teacher.
Did I?
When I went to you crying and telling, Terry, can you believe what Andres told me? That Mrs. O, I'm not going to say her name, but Mrs.
Yeah.
O, she wasn't nice to Andres. She used to pull him and sit him on a corner away from the group, because sometimes, because maybe some sensory issues that he had by that time, or I don't know what it was. He told me that, I don't know, Mom, I used to go to Mrs. O and bang my forehead on when she was standing up on her leg. And she used to get so angry at me, and she used to pull my arm and take me and sit me away from the group in a chair. And sometimes I was even falling asleep on that chair. And I felt so bad that I cried. And I went to talk to you, and I said, Terry, can you believe this? And you told me, well, you should go and talk to Mrs. O. You should go and talk to her, because, maybe, like you say, maybe she thought that he didn't know exactly what's going on, and that he was not going to remember, or whatever. No, this is not good what she did.
And we wanted her to know that he was fully aware of everything that
and
was
she
going
needs
on.
to know
That, yeah. I remember
so
that
she
now.
doesn't do that to the other kids.
Right.
So that's what gave me like the strength to say, okay, yes, I need to talk to her, because I didn't know what to do exactly. But when you told me that she needs to know that the kids know what's going on, even though they're not able to talk, they know what's going on. And they remember. Look, Andres is remembering what she did to him. So you need to let her know. And I said, okay. So, yes, and I went to talk to her.
And did you? Okay.
Yes, and I told her everything. And I was crying, telling her that I was feeling so bad, knowing that my son went through that, and just imagine him how he felt, being pulled away from the group and sit away from his group and being so little. And I remember that I cried so much. Yeah, and she cried.
Oh.
She asked me for forgiveness, and she asked me permission to talk to Andres.
Oh, I forgot all that. I forgot all those details.
And she talked to Andres. Of course, maybe Andres doesn't remember, but yes. And I remember this because by that time I was already working in the district, and the teacher that I used to work with, she told me, well, she didn't even tell me because she knows that I'm so afraid to be in front of people talking. But
yeah.
And I remember that we had a staff meeting, and she said, Rocio, come. She was making a presentation of something, and she said, Rocio, please come. And I just thought that she needed something, like some paper or something. And I said, okay, what do you need? And she said, come over here. And she says, please tell everybody what you told me about your son.
Oh.
And I was like, not in front of people. Yes, all the teachers here, they need to know this experience because,
Wow.
Sometimes, she said, I hear from some of my colleagues that they talk sometimes not very pleasant things about the kids in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are too much work, like they're not learning, like they are just there. Different things that are not very nice. And that's what they are thinking, that because they're not able to talk, they're not understanding anything, or they don't know that they are talking about them.
Wow.
And so I told them, and I saw some of the teachers crying.
Yeah.
And I said, please don't do this anymore, because the kids are aware of what's going on. Not because they're not able to talk means that they are just objects there sitting down or standing up. No, they have feelings, and they are hurting, and they are going through so much already, not being able to be like we are.
Right.
Because they know that something is wrong with them. And I was able to talk, and maybe because it was so unexpected when she called me to talk in front, maybe it was my true feelings, as a mother,
Right.
telling them that I remember that since then a lot of teachers, I think they learn.
Well, and just like,
lesson.
okay, so do you see how this is repeating itself 27 years later? I'm telling you, like, this is an important story. Rocio, get over here. You need to tell it. You're like, no, thank you.
I'm afraid of cameras, Terry. You know me.
But you get it. That took bravery for you to go to that teacher, Miss O. But look what it did, and it took bravery for me to say, like, you need to go talk to her. You need to do that. And then as we're telling our story today, I just think this is so important for the people who are watching this to know this too, and not to feel bad or guilty that we've done it. I mean, I'm sure I've talked about students plenty of times in front of them where they heard and maybe I said something I shouldn't have said. I mean, it's kind of natural, but it's important to know that the impact of that.
And also for parents, sometimes I remember myself, yes, like crying in front of Andres sometimes, because what's going on, that it was so difficult for us, go through the special ed system and everything, and for me not knowing anything about special ed by that time. So when Andres started to show me that he was aware of everything, I felt so bad, like you say, that sometimes also maybe I said something wrong, about my frustration, about why he.
So yes, I think that's
needed to. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something that all of us can learn from, and how brave you are you were sitting here talking about you now, but you understand why, right?
I do.
Yeah,
Thank
that's great, and also it probably feels good to have that acknowledged, like you have got people standing up for you, and then to know that you made a difference in that teacher's life, because she didn't know, she was just trying to take care of her other students, you know what I mean, and here's little Andres,
I understand.
Yeah, so.
No, and I feel so proud of my son for where he is now, that he was able to graduate from college, that he has his bachelor's in fine arts, and emphasis in illustration. And this is making me think about some other kind of sad experience that I had also in elementary school. You remember, Terry, that you went with me to so many IEPs. In first grade and second grade were hard for him.
Oh, right, after he left, I remember.
Uh-huh. Were hard for him. We had to work a lot. And one of the, by that time, he used to have like, because you helped me to get him in they used to call that program by that time, full inclusion program.
Right.
Yes. And of course, you know, the special resource teacher, she needed to work with him every day.
I think I remember which story I'm going to tell. Keep going. I think I remember this one.
And I remember that like I said before, it was those 2 years. I remember that they were the most. Yeah, they were very hard for him. But I remember that that teacher, the special resource teacher, she was maybe not very patient. Also, by that time she just graduated, so maybe she was young and not a lot of experience, so I don't know. But most of the days, when I used to go to pick him up, she used to say something negative about him. And I was like so sad, thinking, my God doesn't have anything positive to say to me one day. Like every day she's, well, he's doing this, okay, but you know, you need to work harder with him on this, and it's been so hard for him to in additions and this and that, subtractions, additions, and okay, I'm working every day with him, yes. And I remember that one day I was so happy to tell her that finally he was able to complete most of the homework by himself, with not a lot of help. And then she says, oh, good, maybe today you can teach him how to sort things.
That's the story.
And I said, oh, I think he knows how to sort. And she says, oh no, he needs to have more experience sorting things. You know, maybe when you're cooking or something, maybe you can ask him to sort the utensils. All the spoons here to classify, you know, classification, sorting things, the knives here, the spoons there, Who knows? Maybe when he grows up, he can work in a restaurant, in the kitchen, you know? And I said, and the way that, I mean, there's nothing wrong working in a kitchen, working in a restaurant, but the way she said it. And I said, also, those are your expectations for my son.
Right.
To working, maybe washing the dishes, sorting the things after he washed the dishes, to, I was like, oh my God, I remember it.
No, I remember that so clearly. And I also, I wanted to iterate, like for people watching, this is not, it doesn't matter what the diagnosis is. It doesn't matter if it's autism. It doesn't matter if it's Down syndrome. It doesn't matter what it is. I see special needs children in very early settings being like, nope, not going to write. So learn keyboard, or, oh, you know, this is the only job. Let's fold, because that's what you're going to be doing, folding clothes. It's still going on 26 years later or whatever. It's still going on, and it's sad.
And like I said before, you know, there's nothing wrong. That's a good job, to work in a restaurant, to work in the kitchen, to wash dishes. It's a good, honest.
But you don't want to have those. You don't want to have that as being the cutoff for a
Exactly.
first grader.
And it's like I told you, the attitude, the way she told me that, like that will be even too much for him to be able to do that one day. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when I told her that, I said, so are those your expectations for my son? Oh, no, don't take it wrong, and this and that, and nah. But the important thing now is that, okay, time went by, thank God Andres is doing better and better and better. And then when he was in junior high, somebody from the district called me because he was doing so good academically. Socially, he still needed some push. That's what they told me. But academically, he was doing so good, and they say, do you want him to participate in a pilot program? that we're gonna have only a few kids that they're doing very good academically, but they need like that extra push, and socially. And I said, okay. When they told me that there was gonna be like 3 speech pathologists and 2 psychologists all the time with a group, I said, fantastic, yes, of course. And that was the most amazing program, by the way. Yes, that's when I saw him that he progressed so much
I remember that.
in that area. But that's when she went to talk to me one day, because she said that she knew somebody in that other school, in junior high school, and I think they were talking about Andres, how good he was doing. And so she went to my house to look for me and to ask me permission to, she was trying to get, I think, her, not the master's, I don't know if it was something else, I don't remember, but she wanted to write the story about Andres. And I thought, oh my God, after she taught, and by that time, of course, she told me things very different, like Andres is gonna do fantastic in life,
right,
and
right,
that,
right,
and
right,
that.
right. The
But
same teacher from
the
first
same
grade.
teacher
Yes,
that told me
yes.
about the
Right,
that
right.
maybe he was gonna be able to work in
Right.
sewing utensils when he
Right.
grows up. And so then she went to ask me for permission to write about him, and she was writing a thesis or something, and can you let me write about his story, about how good he's doing and all the benefits that he received or he got from full inclusion. And I didn't want to tell her, oh, now you're thinking so different about him. Of course, I didn't want to say any of that, but yeah, I said, okay, go ahead, yes, talk to him, or if you want to ask me questions, I can give you the best answers that I can be able to. But I thought how ironic, life is
Right,
sometimes,
right.
that when he was in first grade, she thought that he was not gonna do really nothing, and then she was writing her thesis based on his progress.
And since Andres being my first student, I can honestly say he's just not unique in that way. I've seen this over and over and over again with many of my students. And one of my favorites is, and I haven't told you guys this story, and I really won't go into the whole story, is one of my students that came here for many, many years. I was teaching him writing, and he just wasn't getting it, like 10 years. And I still kept teaching it, still kept doing it. And and I'm just thinking in my mind, he's not really ever going to write, but he's having a good time here. He's learning a lot. And then I'm just going to jump into the punchline for those of you who haven't heard it. One day on the back of a paper, the way that I taught to write, he writes, for the very first time, he writes, "You fat Miss Brown," and it was like,
Oh my god.
it was like YUFTMSBWN. And I always say, like, thank goodness I'm not fat, or I would have taken it very personally, but I was feeling bloated that day, so it was like, who knows what was going on. But that was his very first writing. That was his first time writing expressively after 10 years of working it very gently and very slowly. But now he is a magnificent writer. On the back of all he writes like essays. I mean, he writes beautiful letters. So it's like I have so many stories like that, and that one just always sticks into my mind because, truth be told, inside I was like, I don't think it's going to happen. But since I saw it happen with him, now I will never say that about anybody ever again, because I saw like this method works, and when you got a method that works, it all comes together. You just have to be patient. And we didn't put a timeline on Andres, and it came together in his time. And I just want people seeing this. I don't want people to think like, oh, well, that's just Andres. He's special. He's a special story, or, he's got high functioning autism or whatever. I see this across the board with so many learners and with people.
And I think we never know their potential until we give them the chance.
Right. And then they might not do it in our little time frame, but you just let it happen. And
Yes.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for speaking, because I think the things you have to say are so important. Are going to help so many people. And Andres, your story is very important. All our stories are very important. You can help a lot of people and encourage people who want to be teachers and to people who want to do the best for their child. So
Yes.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Always
Thank
believe
you.
in them and give them the chance. I'm so proud of my son.
Oh, thank
And I'm always gonna be so thankful to you, Terry, for believing him. Because you believe that he had a potential when he was in kindergarten. And thank you, Terry.
Thank you for making all my birthdays special. I remember that birthday when I was 37. You remember you're in that classroom and you guys came in with flowers and some 7-Up. And you're like, oh, we got stuff for your birthday. And I was like, oh, this is nice. And we sat down at the little table with our 7-Up. And you probably brought cookies or something and flowers. And I just think it's super cool that every year you come. And there's been years when we've been sick and you've had to leave the flowers out at the door or whatever. But
Yes.
you don't ever forget. And it's just so special. So
there's more detail to tell you thank you and we love you. And we're always
Thank
gonna
you
be
so
thankful, Terry. We love you.